Hello, people. I welcome you to another edition of Singles and Married with Christi. Glad you could make it today. Okay, we've been talking about something, keeping your marriage strong, something for the married people. And I hope you learned a lot from the last recording. If you have not seen it, please do so that it will help you, because this is a build up to the last recording. Now, keeping your marriage strong. Point number 4. Never take your partner for granted. You know this thing about marriage, or in fact, one thing about life is that when you are not in close proximity with people, after a while, you that respect, you continue to maintain the respect. However, as the case is with most human beings, when you now find yourself in close proximity, where you're living together under the same roof, or when you get to meet always, you get to become familiar with each other, you discover that people begin to become more relaxed towards the other person, and sometimes disrespect can even set in. People no longer really care about the feelings of the other person, what is happening with them, and all that. Now, this is also the case in marriage. And in our own part of the world, we call it the see finish mentality. You know, when you have seen somebody finish, it's like, what is there to see again? You are living with the person in the same house, you're sharing the same space, you're even sharing the same bed. You've seen the person at their highest and at their lowest, at the most vulnerable of times for them. Now, you know that person, you know their tendencies much more than any other person, because of course, as your spouse should know you better than anybody. Your spouse should understand you better than anybody, because at home is where you get to feel free and express yourself. Now, because of that, you discover that people begin to take each other for granted. A lot of couples begin to take each other for granted. You remember, if you had watched my last recording, one of the things I said about romance is that you need to compliment each other. Now you discover that people take each other for granted. When you cook, they no longer say thank you. They no longer say thank you for little things, and even for the big things, they say they don't care anymore. It's almost like a routine now. And so people begin to behave in such a manner that begins to communicate disrespect towards their partner. Now, married people, we need to be careful of this mentality that will make us begin to take our partners for granted. And that is why you see people regarding outsiders even more than their spouses. I have heard arguments about why is it that women, you see them respecting their pastors, even bending to greet, and all manner of things, while at home they have no regard for their husbands. Now, this is the see finish mentality, because you are like, is he not my husband? Is he not my husband? There's a story of one woman that was shared about her husband being a man of God and doing great things, doing amazing things. Well, because she always saw him as, is he not my husband? One day though, something registered in her mind, and then she got home after service. She quickly ran home, and the man was even wondering, did I say something? Did I do something to offend my wife? And what she did was that she got home quickly, made a very nice meal for him, brought out one of the best dishes in the house, served her husband, and when he came, she knelt down and said to him, I'm not here just as your wife, man of God. I need you to bless me as a man of God. Now, this is that woman recognizing the place of the man, that see finish that was already entering the marriage and making her to look at him like, is he not my husband, or is she not my wife? We need to be careful with that. We need to be careful that we do not lose regard for our spouses just because we think we have seen them at their lowest points or at their most vulnerable points. Where we say, is it not him? He's used to doing these things, or she's used to doing these things. No, we need to deal with these issues and never allow it to take place in our marriages. Now, having said that, I want to say the next point is point number 5: learn to laugh and play together. Now, what is a marriage if you people are not playing together? If people are not laughing together? It amazes me where I hear, well, maybe because of where I grew up, the home I grew up in, there was never a time where my dad would come back and we're running helter-skelter trying to hide ourselves. But I have counseled families or people. In fact, just not too long ago, I was counseling a young lady, and at a point I had to ask her, how was your environment when you were growing up? Because the things that have been happening in her life now, I had to ask her, we had to go back in time. And when she told me about her home, it was quite a toxic environment growing up. Now, and I am not familiar with that kind of environment because I didn't grow up that way. And to the glory of God, my own home, I am free to express myself. My husband is free to express himself. We are free. We laugh, we play. Oh my God, you need to see when I know he's going to say, you let out my secret. My husband loves dancing. Oh, he loves dancing for me. And we get to dance, we get to play, we get to see. Your home is the place where you can be the most foolish person and not be judged for it. You should be the most foolish, the most open, the most, you should just let yourself loose, let yourself free, be yourself. You know why many people cannot come home after a hard day's work? It's because in their families, there's no peace. So there's no joy, there's no love, there's no laughter. And so when they close from work, they are looking for places to go to, and they don't return until late at night so that they will just go and get into bed. Now that is if you are making things difficult for your spouse, not allowing them be themselves, be free, laugh and play. Come, let me ask you, if you are not laughing and playing with your spouse, who are you playing with? Who are you laughing with? I beg, that's the question I want you to answer. Because the number one person you should play and laugh with, as long as you are a married person, is your spouse. Honestly, if you are doing it somewhere else and you're not doing it with your spouse, honestly, you are wrong. You need to go and rearrange that order. Your home should be a safe haven. Like I would say, I read in a book, it says that men are the head of the home, the women are the heart of the home. So when the head and the heart come together, there should be a mingling, there should be joy, an overflow of joy, of peace, of laughter. So if your home is devoid of that, you need to work on it. You need to be able to play together. You need to be able to laugh together. Now, another point I want to make, which is point number 6, is you need to learn to express empathy. What does it mean? It means the ability to be able to understand and share the feelings of others. Now, in this case, share the feelings, understand and share the feeling of your spouse, your husband, or your wife, where you need to be able to understand things from the perspective of your spouse. Now, it's not just about you. See, if life is all about you, please, I would advise you don't get married. Because marriage is the place where it is not just about you. It is about the other person first, even before you. Now, you need to be able to learn to put that person first, and then you put yourself in their shoes. You need to empathize with them. You need to understand with them their feelings, where they are coming from. Now, this means that what? You might not always agree on issues, which is true. It is not even possible for you to agree on every issue, but it is possible for you to understand the points your partner is making. You need to understand the place they are, their own point of view. You need to be able to understand with them, and you need to be able to accept it. Now, that is empathy. So please learn to empathize with your spouse. Don't empathize with people out there and you come home and you cannot empathize with your spouse. I'll call that hypocrisy, because for me, I think that the best person that should be able to give a true picture of who you are, as long as you are a married person, is your wife or your husband. And if your spouse cannot give a true picture of who you are, then something is definitely wrong, and you need to do something about that. Let's move to point number 7. You need to have healthy and godly relationships with people of the same sex outside of your marriage. Now, what do I mean by this? You see, when they say people are married and they say that they do not give their partners breathing space, they want to do everything together, they want to be everywhere together, no, it's not possible for you to do everything with your spouse or be everywhere with your spouse. It is not possible. There are moments that you need to learn to be able to do things with other people of the same sex with you. For example, as a woman, you should encourage your husband to have godly male friends, people that love God and are of like minds. Now, they will be able to encourage themselves. They will be able to spur themselves into greater things, into greater heights. And the same thing with a man. You should be able to encourage your wife to have godly female friends, where they will be able to spur themselves, they will love themselves, they will encourage themselves, they will help themselves, they will build themselves or challenge themselves to becoming better versions of themselves. Now, if your partner doesn't have this kind of friendship and is all about you, that relationship in itself is unhealthy. I think it's an unhealthy marriage where your spouse is only all about you and has no life outside of you. That is why for some people, you know that when something happens or when there's a breakdown somewhere, their whole world crumbles. Now, you need to be able to have a life outside of your spouse, and that life is you building godly relationships and growing in that godly relationship. Now, by doing this, your partner is also aware of those your friends. He knows those your group of friends. She knows those your group of friends, and she's comfortable, or he is comfortable with you being around them, because they know that anytime you are with such kind of people, that you get better, you become more loving and a better spouse even at home, or a better parent. So you need to learn to do this. May I talk about the next point? You need to learn to show affection. Show affection. What does that mean? You need to learn to touch each other. I don't know. How can you wake up at home on the same bed with your spouse and go through a whole full day and nothing joins you and your spouse? It's only good morning, how are you? I'm fine. How was your day? Fine. No. You need to be deliberate to show affection. Closely related to the matter of romance, you need to touch, rub your hair, and this one is not exclusive to anybody. Whether you are the man or the woman, both of them enjoy the rubbing of the hair. Whether you are a man, you can rub your woman's hair. Whether you are the woman, you can rub your man's hair. And I'm saying this video is for married people, single people. I didn't say you should go and rub anybody's head, because it's not time yet. Because now from clap dance they take happen. So let's not allow that to happen. But as long as you're married, it is important that you are able to do all these things, show affection, touch each other as you're passing. Grab somewhere, hold somewhere, touch somewhere. See, let me tell you one thing. I am sorry I have to keep bringing, because I am talking about marriage, and of course I am married, and of course I as I'm talking, I will talk about some things that have to do with my own marriage as well. Now, one person that is good at touching and grabbing is my husband. He does that so well. Sometimes it just makes me laugh and all that. Now, you need to do that. It keeps the marriage alive. You need to be able to touch. You need to be able to hug. Now, one thing we do with my husband is that before we go out of the house or before we leave each other, we must hug each other and kiss each other. It is very important. Now, do you know how that feels? It communicates love and warmth and acceptance, and telling the person that, even though you're leaving me for a while, just know that you're with me in my thoughts. Now, it is important that you communicate these things. Communicate by love, by touch, by hugs, by kisses, and by even the love language of your partner. When you know the love language of your partner, love language is another topic on its own that one day we'll get to talk about on this video or on my videos. So you need to be able to communicate to your partner in a manner that they will feel that love. Now, these are some of the things you need to do to keep your marriage going strong. And have I exhausted my points? No way. This only means that we will call this keeping your marriage strong part 2, and I look forward to doing part 3 with you. And I hope you also stay tuned, put on your notification buttons, so that when part 3 of this video drops about keeping your marriage strong, you will be the first to see it. So once again, I want to say thank you for staying with me on Singles and Married with Christi, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Do take care.